Hey, it's Stu, and I have a bit of a cold, and I've just been cozy on my couch all day. But I did this weekend get out several times to some thrift stores to, do the beginning of the year clean out, thrift store donation, and then some little free libraries. Some that I go to a lot, and some that I haven't been to before. So I do have quite a few books here that I'm excited to really go through, see if they fit on my shelf, see if go over a little bit more perhaps and decide if I really want to hold on to them. If not, I'll put them back in the unhaul pile, etc. I will start with the short stories. I have three. I have three. Yeah. Oh, that's not it. This is it. I have three short story collections. And short story collections, I have definitely had a change of heart around. Last year I was saying, oh, I dread short stories because that's all I could read when I was busy single momming on the grind. And now I have lots of discretionary time where I can make videos and read full novels, although I still have to work on reading the chunkers. And I'm quite excited about getting short story collections. I kind of have a soft intention of trying to make sure that I read one short story collection a month. And I think that's working out for me. I also feel a little less kind of a way about DNFing or not reading all of the stories in a short story collection. We all know the virtues of them, so I won't say more. I'll just get into the books that I found. From the Little Free Library, I found Robert Olin Butler's A Good Scent from a Strange Mountain. And this is the winner of the 1993 Pulitzer Prize. From what I remember reading, like discerning if I wanted to take this book by a trade or, we all know that I'm putting like even more than one book into Little Free Libraries now, right? And then deciding if there's anything there that I want to take. I decided to take this one mostly because it was a Pulitzer, and I was intrigued because short story collections normally don't win prizes. Interpret of the Maladies is the other one that comes to my mind, which I loved. I think that this book, again, when I was reading through it and deciding, I think these are short stories about Vietnam. I'm assuming, because I didn't read very carefully, what they mean by Vietnam is the Vietnam War, in which America, the U.S., wreaked havoc and did some terrible things inside of Vietnam. And there was also a lot of protesting going on. And it's a sort of standout moment in U.S. history. But it could also, in 1993, be about someone going and visiting Vietnam. So I don't know. A Good Scent from a Strange Mountain also is a very intriguing title. In Cuba, I Was a German Shepherd by Ana Menendez. Oh my gosh, I was so compelled to this book for a lot of reasons. This is such a fantastic little cover. And when I even just looked through at the titles of some of these short stories, I had to remind myself there's other things I'm reading now. This one certainly called to me. It gave a real it's got island vibes, and I'm looking forward to reading this when I really, want to have some island vibes. What is not yours is not yours. This is an uncorrected proof, and I found this at a thrift store, but it was like the thrift store where it's 10 books for $5. This is by Helen Oyeyemi, and this came out in 2016. Other than that, I don't know much about this author or this book, but I'm excited to give this author a chance via these short stories. It's a really compelling cover as well, and as well a title. What's not yours is not yours. There's a lot that comes to my mind when I think about stories that align with what is not yours is not yours. And so, yeah, I thought that was a great little find. Okay, mystery thrillers. I found two. No. I found way more than two at the thrift stores, and then I just gave them to Little Free Libraries because I do this thing with mystery thrillers. It's like I have a small mystery thriller collection on a small separate shelf, and I almost always just, I don't think I buy them anymore unless it's something that I'm really looking forward to. I haven't bought one like in at all, maybe in the last 6 months. Yeah, before my summer trip, I might have purchased a few like in thrift or whatever, but because that's all the only way I buy. But they come from Little Free Libraries, and then when I find one in a Little Free Library, I basically decide, do I want it? I bring it home, and then I decide, do I want this book or do I want the one on the shelf, and which is the one that I think I'm going to read. And then I might do a reader on haul right away from whatever I take off the shelf, or I might just take it off and unhaul it unread because it came from a Little Free Library anyway, and I'm just doing a swap up. So this one really, the cover called to me, Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. And in fact, I had a conversation with the worker at the thrift store who was also pretty interested in this book. I offered it to her. I said, once I bought it, I was like, actually, do you just want it? It's okay. I don't have any feelings towards it. I'm buying them 10 for $5. And she said, no, she's not doing that much reading. So if I really like this book, I'll try to get it back to her and just leave a little note, like maybe you can get into reading it. If not, just put it back on your thrift store shelves. Anyway, it says she's accused of 4 murders. She's only guilty of 3. So there's some twists. I think the the setting is Florida is what I'm trying to say. The other one is Alice Fenney's Beautiful Ugly. I think this is a modern, maybe even 2025. I think this book got a certain amount of hype, and oh, it's got a nice map. Now that I'm doing the 52 book club, I think I'm thinking of the prompts all of the time, and like obviously it is a 2024. I don't watch very many reviewers or read reviews that much. I don't read reviews and give that much credence because I don't normally align with really hype books. Maybe that's just me thinking too much of myself, but I don't watch that many folks who review mystery thriller because although it is my genre, of the genres, way more so say than fantasy or romance, I mostly read literary and contemporary fiction. So I don't know, but what drew me to this was the water and the kind of island vibe again. And I've been reading a lot of wet books lately that I've been able to sort of like get into the atmosphere. So that's what compelled me to pick this. There were several contemporary, like I think 2024, 25 in this Little Free Library, and this is the one that I chose for that reason. Okay. All right. The rest, I have 2 books that I kind of just took chances on. Don't know if they'll make my shelves tonight or not. I might look into them a little bit more or not, but I know that I don't know that much about the book. I don't know anything about the author, and I just decided to give him a chance. So Sweet Fury by Sash Bischoff is an ARC. This is an ARC. So I feel any kind of way. It's out of a Little Free Library, and what really pulled me into this book was this wonderful little blurb by Joyce Carol Oates. And I've just hauled Fox by Joyce Carol Oates. She was on my mind, and I was thinking about her as an author a little bit. And this is what she says. She says, a very dark romance of the kind that would have shocked F. Scott Fitzgerald. So, super not into romance, but if a dark romance that'll shock F. Scott Fitzgerald, I want to know, I'm intrigued. Like, I want to read this book because I want to know what that connection is. Is this some kind of a retelling of like a Gatsby or one of Fitzgerald's others? Don't know, didn't really look into it, and maybe won't. And maybe this will sit in what I call my stacks. It's just sort of like the Little Free Library or other paperback hauls that I'm not quite sure about, but at some point I have to do like a reader on haul kind of thing or become more sure about. This is not a paperback, this is a hardback, but likewise, it is a beautiful book. And this is the last tale of The Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. And I don't I don't know. Something tells me this book is probably known by people. This is Gothic. Okay, that's what I understood about it, that it's Gothic. And I have, it's 2023, and I've read a couple of Gothics lately that I found reasonably interesting to really explore the building of the atmosphere and some of those, mechanisms of the Gothic genre. And so I wanted to sort of give it a chance, kind of the same as the other book that I just mentioned. Okay, yes. All right. I have some books by authors that I already have on my shelf that I found. So The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. I found this in a little free library. I always conflate, often. I don't know what adverb of frequency I want to give you. I have conflated The Remains of the Day and Never Let Me Go. And so I have been sure that I've read this book, and then it's not this book. It's Never Let Me Go on more than one occasion. So now, as I just read last year, Never Let Me Go, and another time that I was sure that it was this book that I read and not Never Let Me Go, and then got into Never Let Me Go, and I'm like, oh, I've read this book, and it is kind of the twist that's the book, but I joyfully reread it. I am ready to find out, have I read this one too, or have I just multiple times read, or at least twice read Never Let Me Go, thinking I was reading this one. This is a Booker Prize winner, and I have another, When We Were Orphans is the other Ishiguro that I have on my shelf, and I actually kind of had planned to read When We Were Orphans somewhat soon, so I don't know, maybe I'll bump it for this. Okay, this book by Colm Tóibín. In January, I read Brooklyn by Colm Tóibín. Still calling out there that I would love to find Long Island, which is the second book of that duology. But I was this I got at a thrift store, and I was intrigued enough to get it. The House of Names. This is a retelling of Agamemnon, and where it will fit the 52 Book Club's 2026 prompt set in an ancient civilization. I recently just read Circe, so I think a little bit my mind is interested in these retellings. Second, Brooklyn was nothing like that. It feels like a completely different sort of, like, I am interested to see the range of Colm Tóibín, because I really liked his writing style in Brooklyn, but what would he do with that kind of writing style? Would it be the same or different in this Agamemnon retelling? So I was excited to find this book. I have a couple other Colm Tóibíns, including a nonfiction, on my shelf, so we'll see how I feel as which book I pick as the second one by this author. And I continue, like I said, when I find Long Island, I will be super excited about it. And then lastly, I have a signed copy of Memorial by Bryan Washington. Also from the same, so this little free library has a Bryan Washington reader, I think, because I found an ARC in the same little free library of Family Meal, and I haven't gotten to it yet. And in fact, I didn't even know about this author until his 2025 release has gotten some hype. I've heard some book reviewers talk about it. Let me tell you, I was probably going to haul this book anyway because I have Family Meal, and although I have yet to read any Bryan Washington, and I'm like, why am I hauling more than one book from an author I haven't read from yet? It was signed, so that was compelling, but on the back of this book, there is a blurb from Ocean Vuong. So already, say less. Katie Kitamura, Kylie Reed, and Tommy Orange, all authors that I have read. Most of the names on there I read and loved. Katie Kitamura is kind of a new to me author, and I liked her enough to raise my eyebrows when I find her blurbing a book. So I'm really excited. I feel like this is a book that has to come onto my TBR sooner rather than later, or I need to make a good decision about, is it going to be this or Family Mill, which I held first. All right, the next are books from authors that I have never read from before, and or don't have anything on the shelf, and or maybe don't know that much about. Okay, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I think this had enough hype. This is a climate. I don't know if this is like dystopian or apocalyptical or just really climate focused. That's a National Book Award sticker. So, and I think this book is now several years old, but it definitely did get its hype, and I'm interested. Yeah. I'm interested. I'm glad this came from the little free library right here on my street. Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wabashig Rice. Okay, this is one of those is like, I don't know anything about this book. Let me look into it. It's a little bit not treated well, but that's not nothing I can't handle. And then upon looking around, reading about the author and this book a little bit, I think this got a Canadian prize, and this author is Canadian First Nations. And so as finding any published work by Indigenous authors, I mean, like, the representation is lacking, right? Not because there aren't brilliant people. We know all of the reasons, which could lead us to the fact that the representation of Indigenous and Native books is low. And so I'm super excited always to find any. Yeah, I'm excited. Like, while I start to put these books away, I'll find out more about this. I also was really compelled to this cover. Yeah, I think this book, I have a great deal about enthusiasm about having found. Love After Love by Ingrid Prasad. I would have just passed up. This was in the romance section of the thrift store where they're 10 for $5. And I'm not a romance galley, but sometimes I decide, just let me go back and have a little look. And I believe this is sapphic, and I think this is more contemporary fiction than romance. And the setting is Trinidad and Tobago. And this one, the Costa Prize. So there was enough there for me to be like, oh, Trinidad and Tobago, I'm interested in that in setting. Oh, okay, this is sort of like more of a prize-winning book than, say, just your have fun, entertain yourself kind of romance, which there's just, those tropes don't work for me. I can't suspend my disbelief, or I just, yeah. In any case, don't let me ramble about that. I am equally as excited to have found this book. I'm glad that I went back and kind of looked into it a little bit more instead of passing it up. Everybody's Son by Thridi Umbrigar came out of a little free library. Pretty compelling cover. What I understand, this is a 2017, I believe, publication. And what I understand about this book is it's looking at adoption. From what I can tell, this adoption is of a child who is either of a race, ethnicity, or culture or religion that the adopting family isn't. And I believe it's looking into that. It's looking in, and it's in a meditation and reflection on all of the concepts that mean family, and or the problems, and what we can problematize about that situation that I just said. Paul Beatty. Okay, I have just hauled The Sellout, and I have almost immediately added it to my Black History Month reading potential. I think when I read inside of the cover of Paul Beatty's The Sellout, it said he was the first American Booker winner in 2016, which is history making in and of itself. And I think this is maybe, I don't know if this is published before or after, but this is The White Vice Shuffle, and it has a fantastic spine. And so now I have 2 Paul Beatty's books, another author that, like Bryan Washington, who I have more than 1 book of and haven't read yet, but have full intention to get to reading him soon. The last book I'm going to talk about is Blood on the Forge by William Attaway. William Attaway was born in 1913, I believe is the, 1913, and passed in 1986. He was born in Mississippi and part of the Great Migration into Chicago. And I'm really excited to add this to my Black History reading, as this is a publication from an era and a story told by an author I've never heard of before, that NYRB did a great job of republishing as a republished sort of modern classic. And I'm super excited to have found this book. And although I just recently found it in a little free library, one of my favorite ones, I plan to get to reading it very soon. So there we have it. Short stories, experiments for me, trying something out for me, authors that I've had before, and a couple mystery thrillers. I feel like it's been a great weekend of just kind of finding little gems in places, and now I get to go find places to put all of these on my bookshelves.